Just a second. I will be with you shortly. All right. Let me see. Okay. All right. So, welcome everyone to the live stream. It's been a while. Yes, I know. If you're new to the channel, Laoshu5000 channel, welcome. Appreciate your support. Um, I'm going to be doing these live streams pretty much every Saturday. And if you want to participate in this live stream for the questions, you have to join the Discord and pose your questions there. We have a little server there where you can ask your questions. So I'm actually reading off of I'm going to be reading the questions from that particular server. So Before we get into it, there's some things here that I need to address and state here. Let me see. Okay, so many of you know me. I'm Moses McCormick, aka Laoshu. I've been on YouTube for a long time. I started making YouTube videos back in 2008, and I'm still here. So, my platform is basically geared towards language learners and gamers. If you go back to my earlier videos, you will see that most of the videos that I uploaded and created were gaming videos, language videos, and fishing videos. Okay. Um, Basically, I'm here to share my knowledge, inspire people to get into language learning. That's the main thing I do on my channel. Um, and it looks like that's what's happening these days. A lot of people, more and more people are getting into language learning, which is a beautiful thing. So that's who I am. What else should I mention? I am 39 years old. I'm originally from Ohio, but I'm currently living in Phoenix, Arizona. Um, what else? I think that's okay. So the Twitch schedule will be released this month. No. I'm sorry. The Twitch schedule will be released next month. So it's going to be pretty much similar to what I was doing before. I'm going to be playing some games over there live. So we will release more information about that particular schedule sometime next month. The Discord is open. The link to Discord is in my description of my latest video and also in the bio on my Instagram at Laoshu505000. Um, let's see. Million subscriber live stream date announcement. So we haven't, we know that it's going to be in December, sometime at the end of December. We will update you with more information on that. Basically, just to let you know what's going to be going down. I know we've made a lot of posts on Instagram talking about what the stream is going to be about. But basically, it's a celebration for reaching 1 million subscribers here on YouTube. I'm going to be speaking with 21 different people. It's going to be like a live stream, and it's going to be 21 different people in 21 different languages. Now we listed, I don't know, I think we got 15 or 16 languages up now that will appear in the video. But all those languages, they will be different topics. Okay, so it's going to be entertaining. It's not going to be the same stuff. You know, it's going to be really entertaining and really serious. So you definitely want to be tuned in to that video. You're going to get the raw deal. You're going to get everything there live. So we're going to make it's going to be a live video or live stream. And then afterwards, we're going to get subtitles on the video and upload that and share that so that everyone can understand what was going on in that video. So it's going to be very entertaining. We also have some videos that were sent to us by various people who've been following my videos, who've been inspired from the work I've been doing over the years. Those are still going to be posted pretty much in the same month. So yes, again, we're going to be releasing more information on that occasionally. Keep you guys abreast on that stuff. So what else should I mention here? So 1 million subscriber live stream date announcement, Discord. So Discord. So again, if you want to, if you have any questions, you're going to have to go to Discord and put them in that server, and it's going to be open for a limited time. It's going to be closed. So we're going to give you some time to post your question, and then we'll close it. So as you guys can see, there are no comments. So these live streams won't be having comments. So they will be turned off, and I'm going to be reading the questions so I can stay focused on the question. I'm going to be focused on, I got a lot of questions here. And also keep in mind that these questions that you have, they're going to be only pertaining to language learning, okay, traveling, and video games. Anything outside of that, they won't be answered. And if you don't want to follow the guidelines, don't want to comply, then you're going to get banned or deleted or whatever it is. So those are the guidelines: traveling, language learning, video games, which are things that I do on my channel. So I think let me see what else here. So, ooh, I got a lot of questions here. Let's go to the top. All right. So this live stream is going to be pretty much for an hour. Okay. What time is it now? Let's see. Okay. All right. So Adrian, first question I have here from Adrian. All right. So he says, Laoshu, is there any other language that you would like to learn, or would you like to create your own one? So, yes, there are many languages that I am interested in learning. It's a lot. There's a lot. I'm not gonna give you a list, but there's definitely a lot of different other languages. Even some languages like Klingon. You know, I would like to explore that more. Um, Definitely, my language learning never stops until I'm alive. Well, while I'm alive, I want to keep learning languages. I'm not going to stop because this is my passion. This is basically what I do. It's become a full-time thing for me. So I don't plan on stopping. So there going to be a lot of different languages that I'm going to be messing with. As far as creating my own language, I've never really thought about that. I mean, who knows? In the future, maybe I will do something like that. But right now, I'm not really thinking about creating my own language. Okay, so thanks a lot, Adrian, for your question. The next question is from Tectonium. What are your other hobbies besides language learning? So, as I mentioned before earlier, hobbies are video games and fishing, pretty much. Fishing, video games, language learning. Those are my main hobbies. Okay, thanks a lot for your question, Tectonium. Somebody asked me, "How are you doing today, Nebulite?" I'm doing good. I'm good. I'm excited for getting back on the live stream. Let me see. Okay, so next question is by Senoi. He asked, Laoshu, what is your hardest language to learn, and how long did it take you to master Japanese? Okay, so for me, this question is very common. So to me, there isn't a hardest language. When it comes to this, I look at languages in aspects. Okay, there isn't a language to me that I can say that it's overall the most difficult. So I like to put languages in categories, such as like writing, pronunciation, grammar, stuff like that. So that's how I determine, like for example, for something like grammar, I would say like for me, probably Georgian. Georgian has been probably, yeah, I would say Georgian. It's the most difficult in terms of grammar. Georgian has a lot of irregulars. It's a crazy language. And then you have writing, which is hands down Chinese. You're using characters. That's the most difficult language in that. So there isn't a language that I can say that overall it's the most difficult language. You'll hear people say, "Oh, Chinese is the most difficult language in the world to learn. Arabic is the most difficult language to learn in the world." But you'll notice that people most of the time, people who are saying that, they are native speakers of those languages, so they don't really study different languages. They just assume that that's the most difficult language, and Chinese is definitely not the most difficult language. Writing it is, but like when you start getting into language like grammar and stuff like that, you're going to see that um, it's really not like that difficult. So all languages are difficult in the end, but yeah, that's definitely not the most difficult language in the world. Japanese. So this term, okay. So I think I make some videos talking about this mastering of languages. So I don't believe you can ever master a language. You can't even master your own language, but you can have mastery of a language. Like you get used to the language, you're comfortable putting stuff together. That's the mastery that people are referring to. But for me, for Japanese, um, I spent I studied Japanese actively for 3 years. I think 3 years, yeah. I studied Japanese actively for 3 years, and I studied Chinese for like 2.5 years or something like that. So I would say like for me, when I started learning Japanese, it took me like 6 months or something like that to be able to get to a level to where I'm able to converse with native speakers, limited. But after like a couple years, 2.5 years, once I reached like 3 years, then I became more comfortable with the language, um, very comfortable with it, to the point when I say comfortable, I mean to a point to where I don't even have to study. Like I don't study Chinese, I don't study Japanese. I've gotten to the point to where I can take breaks off the language for months, probably a whole year, and still won't feel rusty. When I get in front of a native speaker, I can still speak. So that is the mastery that you get in language. That's the mastery. So yeah, it takes a lot of time and practice to get to that level. So yeah, that's how long it took me. Um, okay, ethanol. Senoy, thanks a lot for your question. Next question is by ethanol. What is the main reason you have not gone out of the country so often? I'm talking about before COVID. So yeah, this is a good question. You would think a person like me would have traveled a lot, but I don't know. Like years ago, first of all, I didn't have a passport, so I couldn't really like when I first started doing language learning, I didn't have a passport to travel. I didn't get a passport until it was time for me to go to Taiwan, and that was the first time I went out of the country. Um, yeah, went to Taiwan I think 3 times. So yeah, that's why I haven't done a lot of traveling in the past. And obviously now that this COVID thing is going on, I obviously won't be able to travel. So I definitely plan on traveling more in the future once things get better. But yeah, right now I have to wait. So thanks a lot for your question, Ethanol. Let's see. So next question, Mute. How far is your Bahasa Indonesian has improved now? Um, I haven't been very active with the Indonesian until lately. I've been meeting with someone. How many days? I think it's been a week now, maybe a week and a half. I have someone I meet with um, to practice Indonesian with actively, since that's going to be one of the languages that I'm going to be doing a live stream. But yeah, before that time, I haven't really improved much because I haven't really been really using that language like that and been studying it. So I'm conversational. I can speak, have conversation comfortably with Indonesian, but as usual, like other languages, there's room for improvements and to get better. So I'm sure by the time I have the stream going on, it's going to be my level is going to be a lot better than what it is now. We'll have learned a lot more vocabulary, expressions, what have you. So thanks a lot for your question, Ethanol. Or not Ethanol, Mute, I'm sorry. Let me see here. Tectonium, I think it's the second question. He asked me, will you ever go to China? I think it would be a great video if you decided to go to China and level up there. Absolutely. I have to go to China. I mean, that's like my first serious language that I started learning. I mean, I've been to Taiwan, but you know, China is the main place for that. So definitely, I would like to go, and I plan on going. Um, Very interested in traveling there. There's a lot of places I want to go to. Beijing, Shanghai, a lot of different places over there. So definitely, I'm interested in going when things um, are better, and you know, definitely going to do that. Thanks a lot for your question again, Tectonium. Okay, so the next question, Slushy, which language did you have the most fun learning? Which language did I have the most fun learning? Um, the most fun learning. I I probably, you know what? I would say like Japanese because um, at the beginning it was a mystery to me. It was like, okay, I start learning Chinese first, and you know, as a native English speaker, Chinese isn't really difficult um, grammatically for a native English speaker. So I say, okay, this is not that bad. But then when I started doing Japanese, I had got a phrase book, and I was like, how do I was like, like how do people learn this language? Like how does a human being learn this language? Like it's backwards. It doesn't make any kind of sense. And this is compared to Chinese. I thought it was really a strange language. Um, However, as I spent more time on it, um, I started getting into the grammar and stuff. And when I started getting into the grammar, I had all these grammar books, and I got into it like real deep. And I was like, oh, this is really fun. And I haven't felt like that for another language before. So I would definitely say Japanese probably was the funnest language that I started learning. But you know, as usual, like to me, learning all the languages is fun to me. It's very fun. But yeah, that experience with Japanese was beautiful. It was really something. So um, thanks a lot, Slushy, for your comment or for your question. Ethanol. So, okay, another question from Ethanol. Have you ever heard of the province Hunan? If so, are you interested in traveling there? I haven't been. I haven't been there myself, but I think it is a beautiful place. Okay, so this goes hand in hand with the previous question about going to China. Definitely, obviously, yeah. I mean, I've heard of Hunan before. Um, yeah, yeah, that's definitely a place that I'm interested in traveling to in China. Thanks a lot for your question, Ethanol. Um, Next question, Mrs. Manfra. Have you ever learned any dead languages? If not, would you learn one? If so, which ones? So, no, no. I almost, no, I haven't learned, no, I haven't tried any dead languages. Right now, I don't really have any interest in learning. I mean, I'll probably try something in the future, but like right now, I don't have an interest in learning or dabbling with any dead languages. So we'll see. We'll see. It's a possibility. Thanks a lot for your question, Mafra, Mrs. Mafra. Okay, next question, Blizzard. How did your learning strategies for languages change from the beginning of your journey until now? Do you have some general recommendations on how to approach a new language? Also, for someone without any experience in language learning. So yeah, just like any language learner, normal language learner, I didn't have any strategies. So you got to remember, I started learning languages back in the 90s. So at that time, there was no YouTube. There were no platforms, social media platforms where you can learn easily, and where there are a lot of accessible resources. So like any normal language learner, I got a dictionary, a phrase book, and I started from that. And just went out in the battlefield, was still leveling up, was still talking to people. So this is something that I started doing at the beginning. And then as time went by, I started realizing, I started buying books and stuff. I started, this is how I came up with the FLR stuff. Um, I started realizing I was looking for certain things in books and marking them. I had books all marked up, uh, highlighted, and I say, okay, I need to learn this, I need to learn that, I need to learn this, because if at that time I noticed that if I started from chapter 1, then the things that I needed to learn to be able to approach people weren't there unless I skipped around, jumped around the book. So, you know, um, that's when it all started. And then it built up, and then I had papers with like questions, cute, like common questions, common answers that I would get when I practice with people. And I made a note of that. And then I would try to find those questions and answers like in dictionaries, like in phrase books or whatever, and take note of them. So fast forwarding, this FLR stuff that you guys see, that's where it came from. It came from my experience. So this is not something that I just put together and say, oh, you know what, let me just put this together and try it. No, that came from my experience. That's something that I experienced in the battlefield. And I don't know any other way of, a good way of learning than from your own experience. So that was all from my experience. So that's how I learned. Trial and error, trying stuff over and over, repetition, all that stuff. Um, Based off of my experience, as far as like recommendations on someone who was learning a language from the beginning, and I always talk about this, I always mention that you probably what you want to do, and I know everyone learns differently, but I'm gonna just speak from my own experience from what I learned. So for me, I learned that if it's a language that's not related to your native language or any other language that you can speak or you have experience in, you want to learn naturally. How do you learn naturally? You learn naturally through a lot of listening to authentic stuff, um, radio station, SBS, or whatever. You want to listen to that stuff, immerse yourself in that, even if you don't understand. Okay, the point is not being able to understand anything that's being spoken. That's part of the immersion. It's going to help you with pronunciation, accent. You want to do that, then learn phrases and use those phrases on native speakers. Once you feel comfortable with those phrases, learn more phrases, learn more keywords and fillers. Keep learning that stuff, build it up, build it up, build it up. And if you do that on a consistent basis, like 3 months, 3 to 6 months, you will inevitably be able to talk with someone. You're not going to be able to talk about politics or science or something, but you're going to be able to comfortably have a conversation with the native speakers. Then once you get to that point, then you build on it. So if you do that for 3 to 6 months, it's inevitable you're going to be able to do that if you do what I just mentioned. Listening, learning phrases. Just keep doing that. You got to be patient. But it works. So if you don't want to be stressed out trying to learn grammar and trying to figure stuff out, that's probably that's the best way to go about doing that. Okay. Now, um, once you're able to do that, be able to put stuff together, then you can start getting into the grammar, learning. Now, when you start off at the beginning, you can learn basic stuff, okay? You can learn basic, basic grammar stuff. It's okay. Personal pronouns, you know, um, what is that? I'm sorry, I got a notification. You can learn personal pronouns, basic stuff like that, but like heavy grammar study, that's something that you don't want to, that's something that you want to avoid at a beginning stage. That's for people who are completely beginners, never learned a language before, and especially if the language is completely different from your native tongue. That's the approach that you want to take. Now, if you speak something like, I don't know, let's say you speak Japanese fluently, and you want to learn something like Mongolian, you don't have to take that you don't necessarily have to take that approach. You don't have to take that natural approach. I mean, you can still start with listening and stuff, but now you can start with grammar. Why? Because the grammar is very similar. The concept is very similar. There are a lot of similar concepts in Mongolian, um, similar to Japanese. Very, very similar. In that case, then you can do the language. You can start learning through grammar and not have any issues and not be stressed out. So that was a very long reply to that, but yeah, that was a good question. Thanks a lot for your question, Blizzard. Um, what's next? Jabari. Laoshu, do you have any recommendation for online Somali resources? Um, there aren't many resources for Somali out there, like as far as books and stuff. I have some. So what you may want to do, because I don't remember offhand, go to my channel and type in um, when you okay, type in Laoshu50, even on the front YouTube page, type in Laoshu55000 slash or dash Somali resources, because I have a lot of videos where I made reviews on some Somali books when I was learning Somali. So yeah, I will start there. They don't have very many resources for Somali, but you'll be able to find some online, definitely. Yeah, and then I have a FLR course for Somali as well. But other than that, in those very few books, it's very difficult to find resources for that language. Let me scroll out a bit. Okay, next question, Khan. Did I invent the FLR method? Yes, I did. I just explained about how I went about coming up with that approach. But yeah, that is the method. That is something that I created off of experience and creativity. Okay. Let me see. FLR method. Okay, ethanol. Another question: who has been the most influential person you have met over all of these years? Have you met any people who have inspired you to learn a new language or dialect? Okay, good question. Um, I can't really say that um, I was inspired by someone to learn a language. That's something that I always had in me. Okay, I don't know what that person is talking about. Okay, I can't really say that I was inspired to learn a particular language. I've always um, had it in me to learn different language and just kind of play around with different language out of curiosity. However, I would say definitely someone who has been influential to me as far as like when it comes to like getting into like listening, like listening and stuff is Steve Kaufman. I would say Steve Kaufman definitely was influenced me when it came to that, because I watched a lot of his videos back in the day. I watched a lot of his videos, and see me, I was never really into input like that. Like like when I started learning, like yeah, I had like audio stuff, um, but I didn't really listen a whole lot to try to improve pronunciation, accent, and stuff like that. I was mainly an output person. I was learning phrases and try to use them right away. And see, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's something that I would change and I regret, because I think that's part of trial and error. And I think that you have to just learn from your experiences like that. Um, but yeah, that's the type of learner I was. I was learning phrases and using them right away, and I wasn't really taking into account about certain pronunciations, certain accents, you know, sounding a certain way. You know, now I did make sure I was enunciating the word correctly, but I wasn't really into trying to improve accent and stuff. And see, yeah, it's possible to be able to improve your pronunciation, accent by speaking. But I think if you're not really hearing that language very often, if you're not immersed in that language, if you don't have any type of exposure to that language, it's going to have an effect on your accent. And see, that's why, like, for example, like even Mandarin, I consider myself a fluent speaker in Mandarin and pretty fluent in Japanese. However, you can tell when I speak, like you can tell that like I may sound like a foreigner when I'm talking those languages. And it's a reason why. It's because of what I just mentioned. When I first started learning, I didn't do any type of input for those languages. It was mainly output. It was mainly output. Most of the input that I got for Chinese, it was just basically speaking to people. That's not even input. That's output again. And hearing that, hearing, talking with the Chinese people and hearing it. I didn't do any type of immersion at the beginning stage. I didn't do anything with those languages. Even Korean, I didn't do anything with those languages. And this is something that I wasn't really big on in the beginning stages. Now, now Cantonese. I'm more fluent in Mandarin and Cantonese. However, when I speak Cantonese, I sound more like a native speaker than I do when I speak Mandarin. And the tones are more accurate. Why? Because when I started doing Cantonese, I immersed myself and did a whole bunch of listening, a whole lot. Like I did that way more than I did with Japanese and and Mandarin. You know, so um, hold on. Yeah, okay. I was kind of getting up. Okay, so yeah, back to the influential. So yeah, when I started watching Steve Kaufman's videos, he always talked about that listening stuff, you know, and I wasn't really paying much attention to it. I was like, okay, he's talking about listening, and then I kept watching more and more and more, and I said, you know what, I need to go ahead and incorporate this in my game. I need to go ahead and incorporate this listening stuff, and I started doing that. So that's what it is. That's why I would say that he's been the most influential person um, ever since I like got on YouTube and stuff. So yeah. All right, ethanol. Thanks again for your question. So the next question is by Urim Jin Khan. Have you ever met Koreans from Japan like myself? Have I ever met Koreans from Japan? I don't think so. I don't remember meeting any Koreans from Japan. Probably have, maybe in a chat room or something, just wasn't paying attention. Yeah, I don't remember meeting any Koreans from Japan. Thanks a lot for your question. Um, Let me see. Let me see what loans. What long-term goals did you set for yourself in language learning? How far have you come? Give me, I'll be right back. Give me just a second, guys. All right, let me see. Where am I? Okay, so what long-term goals did you set for yourself in language learning, and how far have you gone? Um, I don't know. Like, I definitely, if I go back, I didn't really set any. I didn't have any goals. Like, I was just basically just pretty much, yeah. I didn't set any. I mean, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't really set any goals. I was pretty much all over the place, just kind of exploring and trying this and trying that, and just kind of seeing where, where I end up. That's what I was doing over the years, just trying stuff out of curiosity. But now, you know, even doing that, I definitely have come far. I've learned a lot, despite not really setting goals. Really setting any goals, I've come far, and I learned a lot through that experience of trial and error and stuff. Um, but now my main goal now that I'm trying to achieve is to try to keep up with all the languages that I've been learning. And this is going to take time. It's going to take time and good planning, because the more languages you learn, the the more difficult it's going to be to keep up with them. You got to be really, when you're learning multiple languages like that, especially getting up there past 20 languages, 30 languages, you got to really have a strategy on how you're going to keep up with them, because that's a lot of languages. And if you're not in the environment is going to be very difficult to keep up with them. It's very difficult. So my goal is to be able to keep up with everything that I've been learning. And whenever I get into a situation where I'm practicing with someone, I'm not rusty. I'm not rusty, because, like, it's normal. If you don't practice a language very often, especially a language that you haven't really spent a whole lot of time on, it's gonna be hard to perform when you get in front of a native speaker. I mean, you guys have seen that in a lot of these videos. I get in front of somebody and be like, "Oh shoot, it's been a while," because I mean, if haven't really been practicing, you're gonna be falling off. So that's my main goal now, is to be able to have a strategy to keep up with everything, to the point to where I'm not going to be getting rusty. So anybody, I mean, I run into somebody from Sri Lanka, and I switch to Sinhalese, and I won't feel rusty. That's my main goal. That's what I'm trying to do. That's the goal I'm trying to achieve. It's going to take some time, but this is something that I'm working on now. Um, Thanks a lot, Blizzard, for your question. Okay, next question by Ethanol. If you had a chance to instantly perfect any language you wanted besides Chinese, Cantonese, or I think I'm still there. It hasn't been an hour yet. Okay. Okay, cool. Thanks. All right, where am I? Okay, yeah. If I had the chance to instantly perfect any language besides Chinese, Cantonese, or any, man, that's a difficult one, man. That's a difficult one. That's very difficult. I would say, you know what? I would say probably Finnish or something. Maybe Finnish. Yeah, Finnish or Georgian. One of those two languages. Finnish or Georgian. Yeah. I would have to go with Finnish or Georgian. Those two languages, especially Finnish, I really like that Finnish language. Definitely. But yeah, that's a difficult question, but I would choose those two. Thanks again for your question, Ethanol. Hunter, next question from Hunter. Have you ever given up on a language? If so, which ones and why? Um, yes, I have. I have. Let me see. This will name a few. Let me see. I would say, let me see. One of them, one of them was what's the name of that language? Uh, um, one of them was Estonian, and there was another one. It was Malagasy. Yeah, Malagasy. Those two languages. Probably with some other ones that um, as well, but those two that I can remember. And the reason, normally if I give up, because see, I'm not the person to really give up. I don't like to really use that word to give up because I don't really give up. I have to have a reason to stop something, give up on something. Um, the reason why I decided to not even really mess with those two languages is, or continue messing with those languages, is because like the being able to really find people to practice with. And this was a long time ago. This was back in the early, what was it? It was like, damn, when was that? That was back in maybe 2009 or 10 or something. It was a long time ago. And I stopped. I remember I stopped because I felt that, you know, I didn't have anybody to practice it with, and I wasn't really meeting people. You know, I wasn't really having that type of experience, like level of experience with people. So I said, you know what, I'm just gonna put these to the side and just to see what happens in the future. But normally, if I do that, that's the reason why I would stop learning language if I feel that I'm not going to say useless, but just say that um, I don't have any chances to practice the language, you know. So, um, thanks a lot, Hunter, for your question. Next question, what is it? EDA. Do you hate any languages? No, I don't hate any languages. Nah. I mean, there are certain languages that, you know, I like less than other languages, but you know, there aren't any languages that I can say, oh, I hate learning that language. Um, let me see. Blizzard. Okay, so what was the language that caused you the most frustration? If you don't hate any language, the ones that caused me the most confusion. I would probably say Georgian. Yeah, Georgian. Before Georgian, it was Russian, but definitely Georgian, because as I mentioned before, Georgian has a lot of irregulars. Like I have a grammar book. Every chapter in that grammar book, literally every chapter, there's a chart for a regular chart for that Georgian language. Ridiculous. Every chapter, they have a chart for irregulars. It's crazy. I think that language has more irregulars than any other language. A lot of irregulars. Yes. Um, Thanks a lot for your question, Edia. I think I pronounced your name right. Or Blizzard. I'm sorry, Blizzard. Let me scroll down. Okay, next question. Um, Let me see. Oh, this guy's name is in Chinese. Roya, I think his name. Roya. Roya. So, how did you go about acquiring the bulk of your vocab in Mandarin? Did you study alongside the HSK curriculum, or did you just do your own thing? Okay. I got it. 10 minutes left. Um, so I remember when I first started learning Mandarin, I had like that phrase book and I had a dictionary. So basically, what I was doing, like when I each day, like when I would go back home, I would try to make sentences up, and then certain words I didn't know, I would look them up in a dictionary, and then I would write them down and practice them, and then I would try to use that particular vocabulary word with a native speaker. I was doing that a lot, writing them down. So I didn't have any lists like, most people, they will say, oh, I'm gonna learn like 20 words a day or 30 words a day or something like that. I wasn't doing anything like that. I was just kind of like learning on the fly. That's what I was doing. And then like when I practiced with Chinese people, when I didn't understand, I would ask them what was that they told me or what they said, and I would write it down and I would study it when I go back home. Then once I started using chat rooms more, I got real bad with it. Like the good bad. I mean, like I got real intense with it. Like I had a whole bunch of notes with vocabulary on them, idioms and stuff, and I was studying them and using them on native speakers in chat rooms. So that's what I was doing when like in the beginning stages. And I didn't study any HSK. I didn't really take any tests, although I was supposed to do the HSK like a long, long time ago. It just never happened. Thanks a lot for your question, sir. Roya, I think that's how yeah, Roya. Okay, next question, Snicky. What was it? What was the easiest and hardest language to learn? And what language has the most real world carryover usefulness? So this is similar to the question that I answered before. There isn't really that like most easy, most difficult language that I've learned. I look at them in different aspects. Um, the easiest, like the one that I felt that wasn't really much to learn. It was like I'm like, man, I can learn this. I'm learning this like quickly, like not much grammar and stuff like that. I would say Indonesian. Indonesian, and there was another one. Yeah, it was like Indonesian and Esperanto. Like I felt that, like it felt like, it felt unreal how easy it was, like learning stuff. Like, it felt like really, really, like too easy or something. Yeah. Um, Most real world carry out usefulness. I mean, when it comes to usefulness, if you want to like look at that, obviously you have English, then you have Spanish, Chinese. I would say the top languages, definitely English, Spanish, Chinese, Arabic, uh, Hindi. Yeah, those are the top. If someone were to ask me, hey, which language would you recommend me to learn in terms of usefulness, I would give them give them that list: Spanish, Chinese, Mandarin, Arabic. You know, um, what? Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for your question, Sneaky. Let me see. Okay, next question by Joe. How did you go about finding resources for learning rare languages, like for example Tibetan? Did you have to find books on grammar, or did you also find some online resources too? Um, just to let you guys know, I got 5 minutes left, and there's a lot more questions that I'm not going to be able to answer. But yeah, let me keep going. So yeah, Tibetan. Yeah, I use Amazon. I found a lot of books for Tibetan on Amazon. A lot. And although it is considered a rare language, they have a lot of resources for Tibetan online. A lot. So I use mainly like Amazon, and then they're like 8 books. They have some stuff on those other websites. Yeah, but Amazon has been a huge resource for me when it comes to looking for books for rare languages. I found grammar books, yeah, phrase books, grammar books, a lot of stuff. Thanks for your question, Joe. Next question, let me see. By what? Is there a language you wouldn't learn, one or one which you think would be very useful to know? Would not be very useful to know. Um, maybe those dead languages, I would say. At least for now, I'm not really interested in learning any dead languages. Outside of that, I'm open to try any language, but like I'm not really interested in learning any dead languages at this time. Thanks a lot for your question. Next question, Doc Memes learning Polish. Okay, so hey, I'm learning my first new language for a trip next summer. Any any tips to learn as much of a language as I can within the next year or so? I'm not very good at learning languages. Okay, so yeah, this goes back to what I was talking about before. Getting into listening to something and learning phrases and learning phrases, building up phrases, keywords, building up on that, and not really paying much attention to grammar. That's probably the fastest way you're gonna learn. That's the fastest way you're gonna learn a language. And that, like right here, you said next summer, if you want to really get like in a 3-6 month period, you want to be able to get to a point to where you're speaking. Do what I just mentioned. You learn a lot of phrases, and you do a lot of listening, and you got to be willing to try them out on native speakers and make mistakes and stuff. That's the only way that you're gonna learn a lot like that in a short period of time. So yeah, I wish you the best, Doc Memes. Thanks a lot for your question. Let's see. Next question by HR the Creator. Do you have any plans to learn Urdu, or do you know it? What got you to choose your mascot that you have? I personally like it. Actually do know Urdu. I can read it. It's similar to Hindi. So in terms of like improving it, I definitely have plans to improve in that language. But I do know I know the language right now. I can read it. I can speak some conversation Urdu. I mean, like I said, it's similar to Hindi. So mascot. This basically is the mouse Laoshu mouse. It's an upgrade. It looked different before, and I just upgraded it. So Laoshu, this mouse, this is representing my Chinese name. Laoshu means mouse in Chinese, so that's where it all came from. Running out of time. Let me see. I'm gonna answer two. Okay, I'm gonna answer 2 more questions, and then I'm gonna have to stop. So let me see. So Harnik, are you still? Did I read that? Oh, are you still maintaining your Korean? Ever thought about learning German? Um, you know what? I haven't really